All right, we are live again. It's another Thursday at 4 p.m. You know what? I like this because this kind of like signals the beginning of the weekend because I consider Friday the weekend. So it's like 4 o'clock when we're done with this. It's the weekend, man.
Amen, man. Amen.
So we are back again. Today we have a cool subject, but first, I always like to touch on the state of Arizona sports, and it's a dumpster fire right now.
Oh man.
ASU
It's
football, horrible. Cardinals got destroyed on Sunday. Nobody likes the Suns owner right now, and who knows if the players are going to revolt. It's bad.
yeah. So the only thing I have on that is ASU, although they lost, Oklahoma State was good. And
Right.
it was more competitive than I expected it. And so maybe my expectations for ASU is very low. And
Agree.
so the fact that they made it competitive was great. The Cardinals, like my expectations aren't super high either, especially going against the Chiefs. Like
Right.
they're a great team. I get it. But they looked as bad as they did in the game against the Rams in the playoffs. They just
Yep.
looked limp. They just looked pathetic, both on
Yep.
offense and defense. And Kyler Murray is supposed to be a revolutionary quarterback, and Cliff Kingsbury is supposed to be, a genius offensively. But it just looks
Doesn't
like
look
they're
like
always
it.
running in second gear.
Yep. Yep. And both those people you mentioned, Murray and Kingsbury, they both got their huge paydays this summer. And then Kingsbury's thing is, oh, I don't think we were prepared enough. And it's like, dude, you just got a huge payday and your team isn't prepared. Like,
Right.
come
All of
on.
the comments that he was making, it was like, yeah, our practices aren't hard enough. We're just not preparing well enough. I'm like, dude, you're the coach. That's your job. Like,
Right.
you're basically saying that you're a terrible coach. Then
Yep.
you're in control of those things. It's one thing if they don't execute the plans, there's nothing you can do about that. But when you're talking about practice, I mean, practice, come on, we're talking about practice.
Right.
But like, that's your control, man. Like that
Exactly.
boggles my mind. And the only
Yep.
thing I'll say is, yes, the Suns, it sucks. And I hope Robert Sarver has some sort of like personal awareness and just sells the team, even though he
Agree.
doesn't have to. But then the
Agree.
Diamondbacks, their record sucks, but man, they're exciting. They have got a ton of young talent that it's okay to be crappy if your trajectory is going up.
Yes,
I feel like
exactly.
the Cardinals, even though they've improved the last 3 years record wise, their trajectory is downward.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so it's just hard to get excited for them.
I agree. I agree. So, hey, that's a good segue. The state of Arizona sports is a car wreck, train wreck. We're going to talk about car wrecks today. So we are going to talk about, Chase and I always communicate back and forth, and we try to figure out subjects that are helpful, questions that I get a lot from my clients. Chase talks to me about questions he gets a lot. And then we try to bring that information to all of you to be able to educate you, because that's the whole purpose of Insurance Live, these lives we do. We want to take complicated subjects and subjects that people are not educated on, and then break it down in easy terms for anybody and everybody to understand. So that's what we're going to do today. First, we're going to talk about comprehensive and collision, what a lot of people refer to as full coverage. We're going to talk about the difference between those two. And then we're going to go into, Chase has some stuff prepared where we're going to talk about using the preferred body shops of the insurance companies when you have an accident, and maybe why that's not such a great idea. So let's jump into it. And I'm going to share my screen here. Let me go like this and share my screen, and we will see all my icons on the back. Don't look at that. Here we go. So a lot of times people they know they have a $500 deductible, but they don't know that they have a $500 deductible for collision and then a $500 deductible for comprehensive. They are two separate coverages. And again, that's what a lot of people think of when they say full coverage. That's what a lot of people mean without knowing they actually mean that. There's two separate coverages there. So the easy way, at least what I think, to break it down is collision coverage. That's accidents with other vehicles or stationary objects. So you're colliding, your vehicle is colliding with something else. So for example, you're driving down the road in your car, you hit a tree. You're driving down the road in your car and you hit another vehicle. You're driving down the road in your car, and for whatever reason, your car rolls or you hit a light pole, things to that nature. That's what constitutes a collision claim. So if you have a claim, you're going to, that falls under one of these subjects, you're going to file a claim under your collision coverage. Now, comprehensive on the other side, you can see here, are accidents that are non-collision related that involve non-stationary objects or animals. So for instance, your car is sitting there, no one's driving it, a tree falls on your vehicle. Or an animal, you're driving down the road and an animal runs in the middle of the road and you collide with an animal. Or again, your vehicle is stationary and it's vandalized or stolen. So long story short, for the most part, collision coverage is when your vehicle is moving down the road. Comprehensive coverage is when your vehicle is not moving and it's stationary.
So I got a question. Sorry. I got a question for you, because as you're reviewing those, it made me think, can you get collision and not comprehensive and vice versa?
You can, absolutely. You can break down one or the other. Now it's important to point out, especially here in Arizona, and there are other states that have as many windshield glass claims as we do in Arizona, but when people say, oh, I have full coverage, they automatically think they have full glass coverage or a $0 deductible. You don't, unless you first of all have comprehensive, and then you have to select the $0 deductible for glass.
And in Arizona, man, it is worth it. All the rocks on the highways, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. But don't automatically assume, because if you don't select that $0 deductible for glass, then whatever your deductible is for your comprehensive coverage, let's say it's $1,000, you're going to have to pay that deductible to get your windshield fixed. So,
which is basically a new windshield,
exactly.
The cost of a new windshield.
So basically you're not going to file the claim. You're just going to pay out of pocket. But yes, you absolutely can select one or the other. But for the most part, if you have a vehicle you care enough about to add collision coverage, you want to add comprehensive and vice versa.
So that's what I was going to say, because the clients that I'm dealing with is 99% of the time is collision, obviously, because it's a car accident that they're driving or something. But is it that much more expensive to add comprehensive when you've got collision coverage already? Or is it, I mean, do you have any idea? Every price is different. And I hate it when clients ask me, what's my case worth? Because there's so many variables that go into it. But how much of a difference is it to add that on? Because like we've talked already, it's important to have that coverage. And about the time that you think you're going to be fine, oh, I've got full coverage, and then a tree falls on your car, you're going to realize, crap, I didn't buy comprehensive.
Exactly. Yeah. So like you said, every case is different. However, for the most part, yes, collision is usually the more expensive coverage, and comprehensive is usually half the price. In most cases, half the price of collision. And that's just because, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're more likely to have your car damaged by a collision versus something that's covered under comprehensive. So yeah, it just makes sense to add it on, especially like we said in Arizona, where you want the full glass coverage anyways. It makes sense to add it on. In fact, we have people who have an old crappy car, but they want glass coverage. So they just add on comprehensive with a $0 deductible, and it costs next to nothing to do that. So definitely you want both of them.
When I talk to my clients, I always tell them when we're dealing with collision and comprehensive, is how badly do you need your car? If you were to get in an accident or something were to happen to your car, how badly do you need it? Like, you know, the next day you can't function because you can't do your job, you can't go to work, you can't drive kids to school. And if it's a situation where you can't function without it, you got to get both those coverages, because expecting a different insurance company to take care of you, or there to be coverage through someone's homeowners if something were to hit you, it's going to take forever. And so if you have that coverage, then you know you're going to start the process of getting it repaired quickly, and it's less drama trying to figure out when your car is going to be taken care of.
Exactly. And to your point, Chase, so we gave the example of a tree falling on your vehicle. Even if it's a tree and somebody else's, let's say it's your next door neighbor and it's their tree, and a huge storm comes through and the tree falls, your neighbor's homeowner's insurance is not going to pay for that because they were not negligent. It's an act of God. And so the only way you're going to get insurance to pay for that is if you yourself have comprehensive coverage on your auto insurance policy. And so, like you said, you just have to think, like, if you don't have your car tomorrow, are you financially okay? Can you go out and afford to repair your vehicle, or can you go out and afford to replace your vehicle? If the answer is yes, no problem. Okay, you can consider not having comprehensive in collision. But if your answer is no, I need my car and I am not financially prepared to repair or replace it, you need the coverage.
I think the theme of this video, this live, could be, you won't regret having it, or You will regret if you don't have it.
Exactly. And you know what? I have probably 4 or 5 examples of clients, and I feel horrible for them, who have called me, hey, my car is older, let's remove comp and collision. And I kid you not, within 1 week, I've had 5 examples of this. They get in an accident and their car is totaled.
So we're going to pull the curtain back a little bit on this for, the dozens of people who watch this video may not know that Michael and I have been friends since 7th grade. I don't know if you remember senior year, I got in an accident. I rear-ended Laren.
Yep.
In my Blazer.
Yep.
My parents, a week or 2 before that, removed collision coverage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so that's why I was driving that moped for the rest of the years, because there wasn't money to replace the vehicle. And then the insurance rates went so high up. My dad's like, you're not driving a car anymore. So I had to drive a moped. And so that was humbling. And so, my parents learned the lesson in that situation is just have it. And on an older car like that, it's not going to cost very much to add it on.
Exactly. Yep. Boom. So there you go. We now know the difference between comprehensive and collision and why you need them. So now let's go into our next topic. And I think this is a topic that is going to be of interest and value to everybody watching. You get in an accident, you file a claim, you have the right coverage. Your insurance company says, yes, we can do it. By the way, here's a list of all of our preferred body shops. You should use them. And then what happens from there? A lot of people think they have to use them. Chase, I'll let you take over from here and kind of go down that road, because you have a lot more experience, because I deal with the front end of giving coverage. You deal with the back end of using the coverage.
Yeah. And so this is a topic that I'm very passionate about, because there are so many misconceptions or confusions about it that I love to explain this. And honestly, there is so much to get into that this video could be an hour and a half long and we'd bore everybody else even more. But so I'm going to try and keep it concise, and we'll include some videos below with links of things to watch. And I'll probably make a separate video specifically on this topic. But in talking about getting your car repaired, there's 2 situations that I want to focus on. One is the preferred body shop versus the non-preferred body shop, and what's the difference. And then 2, how that affects you down the road. Okay. So number 1, you get in an accident and your vehicle is repairable. It's not going to be totaled. And so your insurance company says, hey, here are our preferred shops. Mm-hmm. So when you hear the word preferred, Michael, what comes to mind for you?
The best.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, exactly. So if someone's telling me, yeah, this is the preferred place, like, oh, Michael's my preferred agent, you're going to assume that that's the best.
Yep.
That's not the case. The reason they're the preferred body shop for the insurance company is because they already have a contract with them to do the repairs as minimal as possible. Okay. And when we're talking minimal, these people aren't using the dealer parts, the OEM parts. They're dealing with aftermarket parts, junkyard parts, anything that is cheaper. And so if you've got a car and you want it replaced with dealer parts, you need to make sure that you're taking it to an independent body shop. So nothing in Arizona, again, specific to Arizona, because I know preferred means other things in other states. So for Arizona specifically, you can take your car to any body shop you want. And in fact, if it's a preferred shop, my recommendation would be to go elsewhere.
Wow. Okay.
Because they already know that they're going to be required by the insurance company to take certain stances or replace certain things with cheaper parts. And then ultimately you're left with a car that isn't as strong, that isn't as valuable, because you're dealing with aftermarket parts.
Right.
And if you think, well, aftermarket and dealer parts aren't that much different, the link below will really talk about the difference and how it's a safety issue. And so there's been a lot of news stories and lawsuits about this particular issue. And so one of the links that we'll include is this report that I want to just play the beginning that gives kind of an introduction as to what the issue is that I'm talking about.
Awesome. Let's watch it. Anderson.
Well, if your car is ever damaged in an accident, repaired through a major insurance company in this country, there are major state and federal lawsuits underway that you should probably know about. Auto body shops across the United States, more than 500 of them, claim that some big insurance companies have long deliberately skimped when it comes to repairing damaged vehicles. Also, the insurance companies can pad their profits. The lawsuits allege it's a scheme that can not only lead to rushed and minimal repairs, but repairs that include using recycled, remanufactured, as one lawyer puts it, junk parts to fix your car. Some attorneys general believe the alleged scheme may have another effect. You could be driving a very dangerous car. CNN senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin reports tonight.
So if that doesn't intrigue you, again, this isn't to throw every single insurance company or preferred shop under the bus, because there can be preferred shops who are quality repairmen. And so I don't want you to think that just because they are a preferred shop that it's going to be garbage. But do your vetting. You will see in the estimate of repairs that you get, there will be comments of these repairs are based off of aftermarket parts. There's nothing, I've yet to read things in the contract language on collision coverage that says you must use the parts that we select. No, they just assume that you're not going to read the fine print of the repair estimate and that you're going to be fine with aftermarket parts. And so be sure to ask about that and demand that. And so the issue that you run into with these preferred shops is they've already got the contract with the insurance company. And so they're not as strong about pushing the insurance company to use quality parts, to use dealer parts. And so they want to maintain the relationship with the insurance company because they're getting a lot of work from them. Yep. And so they may not be as willing to go to bat for you. A little bit of a conflict of interest, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Whereas an independent shop who has no contracts with the insurance companies will push the issue. No, we want dealer parts. No, we don't want to skip this area. So you've just got to be very careful about the body shop that you take it to. And even if you think, oh, it's the dealer where I bought the car, it's their shop. A lot of times those shops are completely independent from the dealer itself. And so just because it's at the dealer doesn't mean that it's going to be a quality one. It may be a preferred shop that doesn't do very good work. You just want to make sure that you're talking to the repair shop and your insurance company that they're using dealer parts, OEM parts, and not aftermarket parts, and that the whole vehicle is broken down. Because in this video that you'll watch, you'll see that how very little of the repairs are actually done, or that when these aftermarket parts are put on, it ends up causing more issues that then damages your car.
Got it. Okay, so a few things, and then I want to clarify a few things with you, Chase, and then ask you a question. So
sure.
My first thing is, it sounds like it's almost like the preferred shops, their boss, or they're working for the insurance company, right? An independent shop, they don't care about the insurance company. They want your business. They're working for you.
That is the basic of it. Simply put, it's that these shops that are preferred shops are independently owned. But you think about if a shop can get a contract with State Farm or Progressive or, these big insurance companies that get tons of claims each month, and they say, hey, we'll send you 30, 50, 100 cars. Well, yeah, of course, that's going to be steady business and you'll like that. But there's going to be the caveat of, hey, I need you to use aftermarket parts or to do this and do that. Yep. And so the repairs aren't going to be up to snuff. And so that's why, in my opinion, it's best to find an independent shop.
Got it. And then the second thing, I think by now it's apparent, but you do not have to use the shop that the insurance company says. You can use any shop you want.
Correct. Any shop. Don't ever feel like you have to use the shop that they recommend. And they may say things as like, oh, well, if you don't use this shop, then, we can't guarantee certain things. And, oh, well, if you don't go there, then we can't guarantee that it'll get repaired as quickly. No, the reason why they say that is, again, with the preferred shops, they have the contracts. And so they know that, hey, this car is going to get done in 5 or 6 days, regardless, because they're going to just patch things up and do the best they can to get it back on the road. Whereas if you get to an independent shop, a lot of times they'll get an initial estimate, they'll break down the bumper and see, oh, there's more damage. And so they have to go back to the insurance company, call out an appraiser, have that person come out and look and have it approved. But that takes time. And so your car may be in the shop longer, but it's going to get completely fixed. Whereas with some of the preferred shops, they'll just rush it to put it back together and not have it as correctly repaired, which can lead to issues down the road.
Got it. Okay, now let me ask you this question, because this is, and it's funny because, again, we've talked about this before. I'm coming from the insurance side, you're coming from the attorney side. And so there's things that I discuss with my clients, and it's a question I want to ask you. So let's say you're in an accident, you don't use a preferred shop. 3 months down the road, you find more damage, something that wasn't repaired or something that was just missed. You call the insurance company. The insurance company is going to say, well, we made the payment. It's not our fault that the independent shop messed up. You're on your own. Versus if you go with a preferred shop, it seems, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like if that happens, you call the insurance company and they're like, yeah, this is one of our preferred shops. They messed it up. Go ahead and take it in and it's fixed. Is that the case? And is that something to be worried about?
Definitely don't be worried about it, because if something like that happened a few months down the road, whether it's a preferred shop or an independent shop, the insurance company is going to be very skeptical. They're going to say, well, how do we know that this is because of the accident and this isn't because of something that's happened since? And they're not going to care if it's preferred or independent. And so ultimately, the burden of proof is on us as the user of the vehicle to show that it was related. And so if you get an independent shop, they're going to go to bat for you, and they're going to push and say, yes, here's why it's related to the first repairs, and point out the different areas, and then get the car fixed. Whereas the preferred shop may not be as interested in doing that, again, because they're trying to maintain the relationship with the insurance company. When they say that if you used a preferred shop, the repairs are guaranteed, yeah, they're guaranteed because it's underneath the warranties that come with parts. That's it. That warrant, even these aftermarket parts come with warranties. And so it's under that warranty. But if you understand that when there are aftermarket parts placed on your vehicle and something happens to your car later down the road, it could potentially affect the warranties within the vehicle, because you're no longer operating on a fully Honda car or a fully GMC vehicle, because it's used different parts. And so now you don't know how the aftermarket parts are going to affect other parts of your vehicle. And so the best way to protect your warranties is to maintain dealer parts, the auto manufacturer's parts for every part of your vehicle. And so that way it's done correctly, and that all the different warranties are protected. Ultimately, regardless of guarantees given or whatever, if there is damage that is related to your accident that isn't repaired, independent or preferred, they're going to repair it because they have to. Doesn't mean it'll be easy. You may have to do a little bit of fighting with them, but they have to repair it. That's their obligation under the law, even if they say, oh, well, we already paid for it. So no, that doesn't matter. That doesn't fully resolve their responsibility.
Got it. Okay. So kind of what I've taken from this whole discussion, preferred doesn't always and necessarily mean bad. You just have to, like you said, do your vetting, make sure it's a body shop that that you trust, and that is going to give you the parts that you need. And whether that's preferred or not preferred, take your car there if you know them, trust them, and know they're going to give you the best parts.
Right. If you've got a friend or someone that works at a body shop that is a preferred shop, it doesn't mean you have to go run away from your friend. You know who that person is. But if you don't have that relationship, then you don't have that trust. And so you're just assuming that this is going to be fine. Whereas the relationship from the body shop, they may care more about the relationship with the insurance company than they will with you. Whereas the independent shops, they're going to want to do a good job to keep you as a customer moving forward, because you'll go see them regardless of the insurance company that you have.
Exactly. Okay. So there you go. And go ahead.
Or I was going to say, the second part that I wanted to focus on is, I've seen a lot of commercials and I've seen a lot of issues of people where it says, take a picture of your damage and submit it to your auto manufacturer or to your auto insurance, and we'll do an estimate for you. Do you really believe that pictures are going to be able to tell the whole picture? Like, it's going to really be able to show everything that's going on?
Nope.
And so this comes from personal experience for me. So I share the story that while my wife and I when I was in the second year of law school, we were bums and moved into my parents' basement. Hey, it happens to all of us, trying to save money. And I had just bought a car, a used one, and parked it out in front of my parents' house. And my wife's car was behind my car out in front of my parents' house. And at about 2 a.m, a drunk driver cut across the lanes and smacked into the front of my car, pushed my car into the front of her car. And then the drunk driver fled. And thankfully we were able to find that person, and we had collision coverage. So it didn't necessarily matter, but we got the cars repaired. My car was totaled, and so we got paid out on that. Tatum's car, if you took pictures and just looked at it, I wish I should have found pictures for it. There's a little dent in the bumper. And so the estimate that was given based off of the pictures that were submitted was, we're just going to need to have to pop that bumper out, sand it down, and paint it. And so the estimate was $750. And so they cut a check to you and say, here's $750, go take it wherever you want. A lot of times people will take that money and they'll say, oh, look, that damage isn't that bad. I'd rather just pocket the $750. I'll drive around with this damage. It's not that big of a deal. I didn't want to, and I was skeptical. I know what's going on. And so I took it to an independent shop. He took down the bumper, and the metal bumper underneath the plastic part was completely bent in. And it ended up, they had to replace that whole part, and it ended up costing over $3,000 to get it fixed. So it went from $750 to $3,000. And you can imagine, if I were involved in an accident later on and I've got a compromised bumper, how may that affect the accident that I'm in? How am I going to be taken care of? Is my vehicle going to be structurally sound?
Yep.
And
that's a huge part, is the safety. That's the most concerning part about all that.
And that's the video that I showed, just that little clip. The attorney generals that are involved in bringing these claims against the insurance companies, the focus is the safety. And they talk about how it's a safety issue, and that when these cars are compromised and involved in subsequent accidents, the protections that are built in may not be as applicable, may not be available because of the compromised condition that it's in. Mm-hmm. And so if you just pocket that money, or if you just have the preferred shop do it the way they originally estimated, then you're not going to get your car fully repaired. And as a complete side tangent thing, with that as well, insurance companies will try and use these visual inspections done with pictures to show that your accident wasn't that bad, and so you couldn't have been injured, to deny your injury claim. We weren't in the cars when they were involved in the accident, so it didn't matter for us. Right. But I see it time and time again where people will get the estimate, they will pocket the money instead of getting it fixed, and then they'll get their treatment, and then the claim gets denied because they say, oh, you couldn't have been injured in the accident. When it comes to me to litigate it, then I talk to them about this issue and say, no, if we go in and get the vehicle repaired, you're going to see that there's actually more damage. And 9 out of 10 times there is. And so all of a sudden, an estimate that looks like $750 and a picture that doesn't look like much is like, you couldn't have been hurt in this accident. All of a sudden becomes a $3,000 repair bill, and you can see the damage underneath the bumper. Says, yeah, that was a good hit. It's understandable why you've been injured. Yep. And so it's a way for the insurance company to save money, because they're cutting a check to you quickly, assuming that you're, hopefully that you'll just take the money and not worry about it. Yep. But then it also can protect them on the injury side of things as an argument for them to make that you weren't injured in the accident.
That makes sense. And, in today's world, it's like everybody wants stuff quick and fast. And so many people would be like, this is awesome. This insurance company is awesome. All I had to do was snap one picture and I got a check for $750. Sounds good, on the surface, but really, like we mentioned, it can cause you a lot of problems down the road. Yeah. And so don't be in a hurry, do your due diligence, find the right shop, bring it in, make sure you're safe.
As much time as we spend in our cars and as many accidents that happen, the last thing you're going to want to be in is a car that's got a compromised bumper or something in it that is bad, to where you're not going to be as protected in that second accident. Get it fixed. Be assured that your car that's on the road is safe to drive. Don't just assume that the visual outside of it, if it looks okay, that everything underneath is going to be fine, because it's the stuff that's underneath that's going to protect you in an accident.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was good information. I love it.
Tell you this, I can stand on a soapbox and talk about this all day and give experiences, but it's never hit home more for me other than when it happened myself.
Yep, absolutely. And so we'll post that. How long is that whole video, Chase? I forget.
It's like 10 minutes long, because it's a whole kind of a news investigation, but it's worth watching for those who are interested, because it goes into an example of a woman who had her car repaired at a preferred shop, felt like she had to take it there, and then takes the vehicle off the shop. She says visually it looked fine, but then once she gets out on the road, it's just shaking like crazy. And so she immediately turned around, went to go have them address the issue. They were giving her problems. Ultimately, she hired an attorney, and then it went from a $1,500 repair to they totaled her car.
Oh my goodness!
Because the damage was so severe that it couldn't be fixed, and so they ended up totaling it. And so that's what I mean is she could have been on the road with a vehicle that was compromised. She had 3 bent rims. She had different issues underneath that, the bumpers that weren't fully repaired. And so thankfully someone got involved and pushed and then got her paid for a total loss so that she could get a safe car and be on the road.
Wow. Crazy. And that again, not to, to mine and Chase's horn. That's why you need to have a good attorney and a good insurance broker that can help you navigate those things, because it rarely happens. Like that experience you shared, Chase, probably will only happen that one time in your entire life. So the normal everyday person is not well versed in what to do. So that's why we make videos like this. That's why Chase and I are always available to answer questions. Like the other day, someone sent me a message on Facebook. They're not insured with me, but they had a question about their home insurance. I'm happy to help. And I know Chase is the same. The real thing that Chase and I want to see is just that people know and they're educated and that they aren't taken advantage of by these insurance companies.
Exactly. And it's not to throw insurance companies under the bus, because they're there for us. We're paying premiums, and then they generally do take care of us. But again, like you said, the general population don't run into these situations on a day-to-day basis like you and I do. So we know what to avoid and what to look for, so we don't fall into those those holes. Make sure that you avoid it and get things done, taken care of how they should, that you have the right coverage so that you can get it fixed. And then when it's getting fixed, that it's getting the proper parts, that it's getting the proper attention, and that it's safe to be back on the road.
Exactly. Love it. So is there an insurance we can buy to fix the Cardinals or fix the Suns? That's what we need. That's what we need.
That's called a new owner. It's called
there you go.
It's that you notice that Sarver he buys the team, and that was at the tail end of the Nash era. And so he thinks, man, this ownership stuff is easy. And then we go for a decade or 11 years without the playoffs.
Right.
And then it's when finally we hit on Devin Booker. And thankfully, James Jones has got a good relationship with Chris Paul and other good players, and we get a decent team. It has nothing to do with him. I think
exactly.
I hope we can get somebody else, but whatever.
Me too. That's the hope. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Chase, for the information. Thank you to all of you watching. And again, I don't just say it, and I know Chase doesn't just say it. If you ever have any questions, if you're ever in a situation like this and you need help and guidance, even if you're not our clients, Chase and I are always happy to help. And if you have further follow-up questions about this subject, comment below. Chase and I will reach out to you and give you the answers that you need.
We want you guys to be educated so that you don't have to involve us. Okay. If you can take care of things, all the better. It makes me feel happy when people have the education and the knowledge to be able to navigate these things, because then you can avoid it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, it's the end of this. That means it's the weekend. So everybody have a good weekend. And next Thursday,